Hello, good morning everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar today that's going to be focusing on Barracuda Security Solutions for Microsoft Azure. So James Stargatt from Barracuda will be presenting the webinar, and then we also have Toby Noble here from Bytes who will briefly discuss the partnership between Bytes and Barracuda.
Thanks, Amy, and thank you everyone for taking the time out of your morning to join us today. So I kind of wanted to highlight for you just a couple of the reasons behind why we're doing this webinar in the first place. So to start with Bytes, I suppose everyone likes to say they're number one at something, but Bytes certainly are the number one Microsoft partner, certainly when it comes to selling Azure, and that's based around the consumption. In line with this, the reason we work with Barracuda, and certainly the reason we've worked with them for so long, is because they are, in not just our opinion, but in Microsoft's opinion also, the number one security vendor. And that's kind of backed up by the fact that they were the first security vendor to be available on the Azure marketplace. And the reason behind the webinar and our partnership there is all underpinned by the shared responsibility model. Some of you may be familiar with that. I believe James is going to go into that in a bit more detail this morning. Some of you may be familiar with the concept, maybe not the name. So hopefully we'll be able to provide you with some clarity on that this morning. And just to add some focus to the morning as well, we'll be focusing around two particular products that Barracuda have a strong offering in for the Azure environments, and that is MAS, as you may hear it be called, which is the Web Application Firewall, and the NGF, which is your next Gen Firewall. They both play very different roles, of which James will be able to go into more detail for you this morning. So without further ado, I'll pass over to James to kick us off.
Perfect. Thank you, Amy, and thank you, Toby. And also thank you for everyone who's joined the call this morning. So just wanted to really introduce myself. I'm James Stargatt. I work here in the public cloud team at Barracuda Networks. Today we're here to explain how we've helped a number of customers migrate to Azure securely with our next generation and cloud generation firewalls. As Toby mentioned, Barracuda have a very, very strong relationship with Microsoft, which we'll touch on further during the discussion. Okay, so today's discussion is all around securing workloads in Microsoft Azure. So we're going to just discuss around the backgrounds and challenges and the old school, so what the environments used to look like, and the challenges facing going forward. Considerations when migrating to the public cloud, how the cloud generation is different. As Toby mentioned, the shared security, so the shared security model and the solutions that we offer here at Barracuda Networks. Okay, so with background and challenges. Okay, so when we've been speaking to organizations looking to move to the public cloud, we're getting a number of questions about how do I get to the cloud from all of my locations? How do I safely move workloads to the public cloud? How do I manage security across multiple locations? And also, how do I control all the costs in all these various locations? There are also common challenges when migrating to the public cloud. So here are some of the things that we've heard when organizations are migrating to the cloud. So there's always questions around security and compliance. How do I manage our mission critical workloads? What are the complexities when migrating from an on-premise data center to Azure? And what are the vulnerabilities that my remote users are exposed to? Okay, so over the coming slides, we'll be looking to address all of this. Okay, so here at Barracuda, we have a suite of solutions that can help accelerate your journey to a safe cloud. So as you can see here, we've got security to ensure users, data, and applications are protected. So we can employ multi-layer security, archiving, and data protection technology within the cloud. With regards to compliance and optimizing user productivity, we can improve company-wide collaboration and help improve employee downtime. With regards to the migration to the cloud, it's basically so we can continue with the same level of familiarity with technologies as workloads have moved from the on-premise environment to the cloud, to make sure you have the same warm fuzzy feeling as you get on your on-premise environments that you've known for years in the public cloud, and also control. So maximizing your Azure investment. So overcome the potential adoption challenges to help you realize the value of your investment further. Okay, so here at Barracuda, we don't believe that traditional firewalls are cloud ready. And I'm just going to explain to you what we mean by this. So here in this example, currently, this is what we've all been used to over the last 20 years in the IT environment. We have your data center and your headquarters with all your applications, with all your security wrapped around that, web application firewalls and high performance firewalls and so forth. But then came branch offices. So your environment's getting more and more dispersed, and then we've got remote users as well. Okay, and then adding to that, we now have IoT devices. So these could be anything from ATM machines, point of sales, or any internet connected devices. Okay, and all that traffic is coming back through the firewall to reach our applications in the data center. Okay, so as you can see from our example, everything is going back through your firewall and reaching them applications deployed in your data center or your head office. But as I'm sure you're all aware and you're all using, not all of these applications are now in the data center. We have SaaS solutions such as Salesforce, Office 365, maybe even Google Apps. So now we've got to reach these applications from all your different locations. So you're potentially, depending on what your environment looks like, going from a branch office, backhauling through your high performance firewall in the data center, breaking out to the applications that you've got access to. Not only that, as we're here to talk about today, there's a public cloud as well. So you could be in your branch office, need access to your application in Azure, and you have to go back through your data center firewall. So to me and to us here at Barracuda, this isn't making much sense. We believe that the role of the firewall has changed. The world is looking very different to what it looked like 15, 20 years ago. And this is what we're here to expand on. So what we recommend, or what we're doing when we're accessing the public cloud, is all these requirements on the right-hand side when reaching these applications in the public cloud. So as you can see here, what we recommend at Barracuda Networks is deploying the next generation firewall in Azure, in your on-premise environment, in your data center, and in your IoT devices as well. Okay, and then what that can make here is a fully meshed network with bandwidth control and quality of service. So no matter where your applications are, whether they're in Azure, so in the public cloud, whether they're in the data center, or whether it's a Salesforce application or Office 365, you can get access to them from wherever you may be. Okay. Not only that, we can actually reduce or remove the need for a costly MPLS connection. So actually, deploying these next generation firewalls can save you a hell of a lot of money from not having these dedicated MPLS connections connecting all of your sites together. Understandably, we do recognize the need for MPLS in certain environments and ExpressRoute for reaching your applications that are deployed in Azure. So later on in the presentation, I'll explain how we can actually enhance an ExpressRoute. But this is what we're seeing a lot of our customers looking to do at the moment, and a lot of the guys that we're speaking to is deploying their firewalls in all their remote locations, manage them centrally from one location, no matter where they're deployed. As I mentioned, it could be in your headquarters, in Azure, or in your branch office. It doesn't matter where they are, they can all be managed from one central point with the Barracuda Next-Gen Control Center. Okay, so last summer, we commissioned a survey around the public cloud, because the public cloud is a massive focus here for us at Barracuda Networks. So we were just wondering what the current usage of the public cloud is within EMEA, and what the plans are moving forward. And the results that we found were actually quite surprising. And really, as you can see here, we've got some stats on the right-hand side, but the amount of sensitive data that was already in the public cloud from these end users that we spoke to currently using the public cloud. And within that data is 40% of their banking details are deployed in the public cloud, which is cool, which is fine. But further into the report, we can see that there was some confusion. Okay, so 61% of companies claim to fully understand their responsibilities when deploying workloads in the public cloud. And less than 45% believe that their cloud provider offers strong enough protection of their environment. So if you think about that for a second, less than half believe that their public cloud provider is offering strong enough protection out of the box. However, 40% of their banking details are in the public cloud. So that was a real surprise when we had this survey and we spoke to all of these public cloud users across EMEA. It's the confusion that remains with the public cloud. Okay, so this report is available. So Toby will be able to send, and the guys at Bytes will be able to send a link out to you after the webinar, but the report is available for download, so you can actually see the results that we found during this survey. This is something that Toby actually touched on earlier, and what we're really still educating a lot of people when we're speaking to. I'm sure you would have seen this slide before, but it's really just to drive this home, because this is an industry recognized model, and it's a shared responsibility model. So no matter what public cloud provider you're using, they will take care of the cloud. So they'll take care of the physical infrastructure, the network infrastructure, the virtualization layer, and make sure that the Azure cloud is up and running and you have access to that. However, whatever you deploy in the cloud is still your responsibility. Okay, so it's exactly the same as it would be on-premise. You know, the network security of your applications running in the public cloud, the encryption, the patching, everything like that is still your responsibility to take care of. Okay, and this is where Barracuda can help you. So just to remember, the cloud provider will take care of the cloud, but it's still your responsibility for what is deployed within the cloud. And there's no question that a hybrid deployment model is a very popular architecture in today's use of the cloud. Okay, so many of the people we're speaking to have a cloud-first strategy, but there's still a lot of on-premise applications being run. But just to let you know, we are fully available and certified within Azure Stack. So if that is an environment that you're looking at in the Azure Stack environment, both the Barracuda Web Application Firewall and Next Gen Firewall are available within Azure Stack. Okay, so going on to the actual solutions that Barracuda provide. There are two solutions here, and then there's a third tool for your use. So the first solution is the Barracuda Next Gen Firewall, and that's all around secure connectivity. The Web Application Firewall is all around securing your public-facing web applications. Then we have the Barracuda Vulnerability Manager. So this is a cloud-based tool that scans for vulnerabilities on your websites and your web applications, so you can see where there's potential weaknesses in your security architecture. And we're going to touch on all three of these points in the coming slides. Okay, so we're going to talk about the Web Application Firewall here. So the Web Application Firewall offers complete inbound and outbound inspection of the traffic trying to reach your web applications. So we offer comprehensive protection to protect sensitive information being exposed at the server to the server and control access based on locations. Okay, we have proactive defense mechanisms with geo-IP control. Admins are able to provide and limit access to certain geographies. And also on the outbound, we have DLP. So you can create custom patterns to prevent the loss of sensitive data such as credit card numbers. Okay, so the web application firewall intercepts traffic, inspects the traffic, and passes the safe traffic through to your backend servers and your applications running in Azure, and it will terminate the traffic that shouldn't be accessing them applications. Okay, as well as the security side of things and the DDoS protection that the Barracuda Web Application Firewall offers, and protecting against the OWASP top 10 and so forth. We also have load balancing, so we can load balance within the environment, and we can also pre-authenticate users before they actually reach the applications. And we also have login and reporting on all the activity passing through the Web Application Firewall. And what this does is it allows us the ability to adjust the configuration directly from the logged activity. Okay, so here's just a quick slide to show you where the WAF is deployed within Azure. So the Barracuda Web Application Firewall is deployed behind the Azure load balancer and in front of the servers that it protects. As you can see here, we have an auto-scaling group of web application firewalls protecting the workloads. So if you needed to add another WAF to the cluster, the web application firewall will automatically allocate the rules and to match the rest of the web application firewalls within the cluster. So this will make it easy for you to scale up and scale down your environment as required. Okay, and as we know with the cloud, it's all around automation, and here we're just going to talk about security automation. Okay, so Barracuda is enabling APIs, and we're working with automation tools such as Puppet to help deploy our solutions in the public cloud. Okay, we have the Barracuda Vulnerability Manager. As I mentioned, it scans for websites for potential web application vulnerabilities. If there are any vulnerabilities found, that's when you can use the Barracuda Remediation Service. So the Barracuda Vulnerability Remediation Service will automatically apply fixes to the web application firewall and continues to deploy the fixes as new vulnerabilities appear. Okay, so this is free. The Vulnerability Scanner is a free tool available to all of you. You can go and run the test on your environments this afternoon if you require. So please feel free to use it. You don't have to be a Barracuda customer. You don't have to have a Barracuda Web Application Firewall deployed. You just need to log in, go to login.barracuda.com and create your account, and you can start accessing your, scanning your infrastructure to make sure that it's got the protection required of your public-facing websites. Now we're going to talk about the cloud generation and the network firewall in the cloud generation. So earlier in the presentation, we looked at the next-gen firewall and the SD-WAN capabilities and the dispersed networks. Okay, but here are some of the security elements you get with the Barracuda next-gen firewall. And it's all around secure connectivity to the cloud with IPS and IDS, URL filtering, which is application aware, so you can dynamically scale your network. We can build unlimited site-to-site VPN tunnels within your environment, and we can build and secure multi-tier architectures in Azure to help keep a level of segregation between your tiers. So there are a number of different use cases for the Barracuda next-gen firewall. Obviously, the SD-WAN piece that I touched on earlier is one of the main things that we can still build. As I mentioned, multi-tier architectures, we can give you unlimited VPN tunnels, so it's great for protecting your connectivity to the cloud. Not only that, it's nice and easy to deploy. So when you're looking at these remote devices and they're going around to all of these different sites, we have a zero-touch deployment model. So you buy however you want to buy the firewall. It's nice and easy. We can ship that if it's a physical piece of kit in a remote location, say it's going into an ATM machine or into a branch office, we can ship that directly to your location. You can plug the firewall in, and then the firewall dials home and retrieves its configuration, and it's up and running. The whole idea of this is to be designed for a non-technical installation. So we know that the environment's getting a lot more dispersed, and it's nice and easy to deploy, and they all phone home to one central location, given its configuration, and it's good to go. Okay, so earlier we mentioned about MPLS technology, and especially ExpressRoute. As I mentioned, we fully understand the need for having your dedicated line and having ExpressRoute reaching your applications within Azure. So this is a route that you've decided to go down. We can actually enhance your use of ExpressRoute. And what we can do here is, if you build or deploy a next generation firewall on premise, and that could be a physical firewall or a virtual firewall, and you spin an instance up in Azure, then we can create a VPN tunnel over ExpressRoute. And then what we can do there is actually offer you, we can prioritize your traffic and offer you quality of service. As I mentioned, our firewalls are application aware, so we can prioritize your business critical traffic to be using the most of that dedicated line, so you can get the most, and you're getting the most benefit out of that ExpressRoute connection. Also, on top of that, if you have an issue with ExpressRoute and it goes down for whatever reason, because you've still got that VPN tunnel connecting between your on-premise site and your Azure infrastructure, we've got automatic failover. So it fails over to the 3G connection of the firewalls. You've still got connectivity from your on-premise site to the public cloud. So it can offer you quality of service and failover, application-aware quality of service, and offer you failover in case of disaster. Okay, so I know this is a very quick overview, but just in summary, cloud generation firewalls. So the adoption of the cloud is accelerating, and it will likely impact your business. You must embrace and adapt to IaaS and PaaS environments. The cloud redefines the role of the firewall. So as on one of my very first slides, we can see that the firewall is very, very different to what it was, and the job was 5 or 10 years ago even. And premise-centric technologies cannot be force-fit into the cloud. It requires cloud-native integrations. We've been working with Microsoft for a long time. We've been building our solutions very, very closely with the guys there, and our firewalls, both the web application firewall and the next-gen firewall, are purpose-built for the public cloud. So to give you a brief overview here, with a combination of the Barracuda web application firewall and the Barracuda next generation firewall, this is everything that we can, or some of the things that we can protect against, as well as prioritizing your traffic. So see here on the right hand side, it's all about the traffic prioritization, block-in, low priority, giving them business critical applications high priority. And then we've got the actual security solutions, so the preventing DDoS attacks and data breaches, and giving you the secure remote access to your environment. Okay, there are a couple of ways to secure within the public cloud. So within Microsoft Azure, we have the bring your own license, so that's to buy in the 1, 3, or 5 years, and there is a pay-as-you-go option for these, both the web application firewall and the next generation firewall. Okay, and here's just a quick slide to recap our relationship with Microsoft. So Toby mentioned it at the start of the call, and I've mentioned it a couple of times. We've got a great relationship with Microsoft, and we are actually the first security provider to be in the marketplace. We've been working with Microsoft and Azure for over 4 years now. We won the award for Microsoft Azure ISV of the Year in 2016. And we have 4 million hours of VMs running in Azure per month. We are the #1 firewall in Azure. We've got lots of different use cases, as we've touched on earlier. But as you can see here, we've got over 2,000 customers running our firewalls in Azure, 4 million hours running. we've got a dedicated team across EMEA, which I'm part of, dedicated engineers to help with your migrations to the public cloud. Okay, so as I said, that was a very high-level overview of what we can offer. But as I mentioned, the survey that that took place last year is available for download. So Toby and the team at Bytes can ping that out to you. And if you want to dive further into your specific environment, then via the guys at Bytes, we can set up a one-on-one call to discuss your specific environments with our engineers and make sure that we can offer you the secure connectivity and the security of your cloud environment that you require. Okay, so I'm going to hand back to Toby now, and he'll be able to let you know everything that you require. But thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks very much, James. So there's a few follow-up points we can leave you with today. First of which is the scanner, the vulnerability scanner that I believe James mentioned early on in his bit there. This is essentially a very simple process. It's a link that we'll send you. You can go on to. It's as simple as entering your organization's domain, your website, and it will take a couple of hours, for which you don't have to wait. You can just let it do its thing, and it will essentially feed back a report to you based on your website and any potential vulnerabilities that it picks up on. Very useful scanner, and if nothing else, it can show you exactly what Barracuda is capable of picking up on. The second link we'll be sending you is with regards to the MPLS connections, and it's something that James picked up on briefly. Again, a very simple link that you'll just have to input a few details as to your current situation with regards to any MPLS connections you're running. And it's a bit like one of those cost comparison sites. It will simply run the numbers and show you potentially what you would be able to save by, by utilizing Barracuda to bridge that connection for you as well. Thirdly, by all means, utilize Bytes, the team you have here at Bytes and myself, to engage in the technology. All of what we've discussed this morning is available as trials, as proof of concepts. These can be done in whatever fashion you see fit as well, regardless of how much hand-holding needs to be done or how complex your environment is. That's a conversation we're more than happy to have. Which kind of brings me on to my next point. We appreciate everyone's at a different point in their cloud journey, if that's what you want to call it. Everyone has different priorities, and it's our job to understand that relationship there and understand your needs and your requirements, and tailor our responses and recommendations to that. So I suppose that wraps us up for today, and I'll pass back to Amy to finish us off, and we would welcome any questions.
Thanks, Toby. Thanks, James, as well. So if you do have any questions, there is a questions box just at the right-hand side of your screen, and I will read those out for James and Toby as they go through. Okay. The first question is around why would I need a web application firewall if I already have a perimeter firewall for my Azure environment?
Okay, so I'll take that one, Amy. So they both do different jobs, to be quite frank. So the next generation firewall is all around secure connectivity. That is securing your connectivity to the cloud. The web application firewall is a specialist tool protecting against DDoS attacks, cross-site scripting, the OWASP top 10. So they're both security solutions, but the next-gen firewall is all around securing your connectivity to the cloud. The web application firewall is all around securing them applications and protecting them against specific attacks and web-borne threats.
Thanks, James. So the next question says, do you integrate with SIM solutions?
Toby, I don't know if you'll be able to answer that one. That's something that I would need to take up with my colleagues and get back to you.
Yeah, I can answer that one for you. There are a number of SIEM solutions, in short, that these technologies would integrate with, particularly the web application firewall when it comes to helping you with reporting and auditing. A few of those would be the big names, the ones you'd expect, so Splunk, ArcSight, RSA, Envision, as well as Microsoft Azure Event Hub as well. So in short, yes, they would integrate with SIEM.
Thanks, Toby. So there's one more question here that says, how easy is it to spin up security instantly for migrating new workloads in Azure?
Yeah, so that's nice and easy. So both the web application firewall and the next gen firewall are in the Azure marketplace. So it's literally spinning them up. You'll get allocated serial numbers and license keys, and you can get that up and running almost instantaneously. The web application firewall is set with a number of policies out of the box, so it does a level of web application protection straight away, and then you can tailor that to your needs. And the next gen firewall similarly spun straight up out of the marketplace. Just make a few tweaks for your specific environments, and then you're good to go. But everything's spun up from the marketplace, and it's very, very easy to get POC underway for these solutions.
Brilliant, thanks, James.
One point I'd also add to that as well, just to make our listeners aware, is there are, I suppose, a couple of varying purchasing routes for you to consider when you're looking into technologies like this. As I mentioned at the very beginning, and as James has just mentioned, both of these products that we've discussed today, they are available on the Azure marketplace. Now that serves a very good purpose, and certainly if you're dipping your toes into the technology, we'd recommend you do look at that route, because it is as simple as spinning up and spinning down, as per your requirements. And particularly if you're not 100% committed to that area of technology yet, that's a great way forward. What I would say for the long term is, if at any point it becomes apparent you'll be using these consistently and 24/7, so to speak, there are cost benefits to looking at alternative purchasing routes as well, and that's absolutely something that Bytes are able to help you with.
Thanks, Toby. So I think that's all the questions that we've got for today. So thank you everyone for joining, and as mentioned, there is a feedback form, so if you would like any more information, or if you're interested in the free vulnerability scanner or the proof of concept, just pop that in there. I'll also send an email tomorrow morning, most probably, with the link to the recording, and also the link to a couple of links from Toby's slides as well. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, James, for presenting, and also Toby, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you all.